sparring club is coming. November 14th, London. Mark your diary. See you there, you f***ing tart.
Boxing King Media. We're at the press conference for EUBANK Junior BENN. AZIM has just faced off with his opponent. I think you kind of expected that, didn't you, from his opponent?
Yeah, he's been one of those guys all week, so of course we're expecting it. He talks a great game, so it's a good thing for Adam to experience at this stage of his career. So obviously when you go across the pond, and whether it be bigger fights, you're always going to get guys that are fully confident in themselves, and this guy is no different. So it's good for him to experience it.
He said something about Adam didn't want to fight him, so I know his name when he was announced to fight Adam unofficially, but it wasn't official for quite some time. Is he on about that period? Like, what was he talking about there?
He's clutching at straws. To be honest, we wanted a former world champion, so we were out there searching for a former. We looked at Richard Comey, we looked at a few others. A few others were too expensive. They sort of said, look, there's this guy, Ring magazine in Turkey. They said, look, we want you to box Kurt Scobie. So absolutely, no problem. Like, as long as you're not going to cut the money. And they said, no, it is what it is. So perfect, let's do that.
How important is it for Adam to look $1 million on Saturday night? Because this is the biggest stage he's fought on. Everybody wants to fight on these type of shows.
Yeah, it's important. Look, he's been asked to go on Riyadh Season and Ring shows before. I think it's important to get the exposure. And the thing is with the EUBANK versus BENN, there's a very there's great exposure. There's great audience there at ringside as well, 65,000, whatever it may be. So, this is the one that you want to get on because it's got the most amount of eyeballs on, and it's important for Adam to go out there and execute what we know he's capable of and show up, and I think he will.
I've seen there's a WBO belt on the line, so does that mean you're going down the WBO route? I'm trying to think who the champion is, I can't remember.
Teofimo's the champion, and he's obviously boxing, I'm pretty sure he's boxing Shakur. But it's more where Teofimo's going to go after us. He wants massive fights. Adam's obviously, it's not a massive fight for Teofimo yet, but he might vacate him. It's also just getting established in another governing body. So get himself established with as many governing bodies and work his way up. So when the time comes, he gets a crack at the world title fight.
Just a quick one. Arch rival Dalton Smith fights Subriel Matias. Does Dalton beat Matias?
I think so. I think he's getting him at the right time. I think Matias a few years ago I think he could have been too busy for him. Dalton likes to slow the pace down, but Dalton's good at it. He's a bit like Jack Catcher. He's good at slowing the pace down. They're well seasoned there. He's a good solid counter puncher. I think Dalton has to nail him, not knock him out, but he has to get his respect within the first 3 to 6 rounds. Because if he doesn't get his respect, and if he hits him clean and doesn't get his respect, then it's a long night for Dalton Smith. But he's got good feet, and he doesn't try to punch people off him. A lot of fighters, when they get, Matias boxed that really sharp Uzbek from, sharp, well-established fighter from the amateurs, and the guy hit him like so many shots in the first 3 or 4 rounds, and they get stopped because he ran out of steam. He tried to punch him off him. You've got to move your feet, and you've got to pick your moments when to go. And I think Dalton, he's smart. He's got a good boxing brain. But it's a fight of two halves. I think if he gets his respect early, he can conduct the pace that he wants to. If he doesn't, it's going to be a long night for him.
Last thing I want to speak to you about, Anthony Joshua. Obviously, it looks like he's set to have his 8th trainer unofficially. Awkward question for you, but if he came to you, obviously we know that he likes trying different trainers, likes to gain different knowledge. If he came to you, would you take him on knowing the trainers he's worked with?
He's going to Usyk's coach, isn't he? So that's a hypothetical question.
But if he said, Shane, I want to do a couple of weeks with you next week, would you have any issue with that?
Absolutely not. I don't think that would happen. You know what I mean? I think he's still a great athlete. I think there's still stuff for him to do in the sport. His best days might be behind him. And he's been with a lot of coaches, but yeah, it's one of them. He's going to go and go out there with Usyk, and I think. I always think when you try and coaches like Usyk's coach or Lomachenko's coach, they've got such a unique style of fighting. It's a bit like going, to a Roy Jones, for instance. Like, he's such a unique athlete. Like, it's very hard to emulate that. But yeah, it depends where he's at in his career. If he still wants to do something, then of course you'd be interested in looking at him and working with him. But if he just wants to check out, then you don't want to be the guy just to coach him at the end where he's just checking out. Do you know what I mean? Like, you want someone to try and win world titles again. That's the thing. But him boxing Jake Paul, I think, is that going ahead? What's the likelihood of that?
Okay. What was that last thing you said there?
What's the likelihood of Jake Paul fight?
Well, I'm hearing it's pretty much done. That's what people are saying. December. That's what people are saying.
Crazy to think so, but I said it in another. I think he's doing it for the boxers because he's probably the only boxer that doesn't need the money in terms of the Jake Paul payout. So I think he's going to go in there and try and do a number on it. But if they make it an exhibition, it's farcical, isn't it?
Let's see what happens. Last one, who wins Saturday night? I think you picked EUBANK last time, didn't you?
Yep, and I'm going with the same man again. I think BOMAC would not. He's only been with him, I think, 8 weeks or so. It's not going to teach him any new tricks. But I think what I've said previously is, I think he has a respect within the game, especially with Terence Crawford just beating Canelo. And sometimes these trainers have they're novelty trainers, right? You bring them in when you need them, when you need structure. And I think EUBANK Jr. needs structure in his camp. I think Banks, he was a former Manuel Steward trainer, trained Vladimir Klitschko and Golovkin, but he hasn't really got the best out of somebody. And I think, and that's no disrespect to him, it's just where he's probably got those fighters at the end of their career. And sometimes someone as arrogant as Chris EUBANK Jr. won't hold respect for him. Now, he always looks up to people like Canelo. He'll always look up to people like Crawford. So bringing on a Reynosa or bringing on a BOMAC, like, in 8 weeks, they're not going to teach you anything different. He's 35 years of age. He's not going to get taught how to throw a jab, left hook. All that's done. But all you need to do is to refine him, put structure, put orders on spars, and make sure he turns up and does it the way you want him to be, the way you want him to fight. And I think Conor Benn, Tony Sims is a great coach. And one thing Tony Sims has always done is always applied the camp very well. He's always held that respect within camps. And he gives everything to his camps. Like every time those guys come out of a training camp, they're well prepared. And I think, Conor he couldn't have done any better than he did in that first camp. He might try and stick slightly more to orders, but that's Conor Benn. I think EUBANK is the one that's going to go if he goes for a proper training camp, boxes a little bit behind his jab, I think he'll get the win. Maybe a stoppage late.
So Shane McGuigan, pleasure as always. We'll catch you soon. Thank you.
Sparring Club is coming. November 14th, London. Mark your diary. See you there, you f***ing tart.